This week on Induction Noise. Andre stands up for the rights of geeks everywhere.
Cooler doesn't mean better.
Neil debates the meaning of life.
Because why? What is the purpose?
And I get worked up about load shedding.
What the hell
What is a stage one?
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to Induction Noise. I am Mr. Q, and with me as always is Andre.
How's it?
And Nico.
Is it?
And right down at the end we have Neil.
Hello.
How's it going, guys?
Can't complain. We've got some cognac. We've got some
cognac.
good conversation.
Hennessy Venom.
Hey, there we go.
And we're, I should explain, we didn't say this in the last episode, but we are recording in Neil's dining room, essentially.
With some cool decor.
Yeah, so we've come to the slightly left of the heart of the mother city, in Gardens.
Yeah, you all had some kale, basically.
We've all had some delicious kale and a
Kale smoothie.
Hearty smoothie.
a hearty smoothie and some
Free-range quinoa patty.
some organic,
Lovely.
alcohol-free craft beer.
You all cycled here as well.
But how do you like the decor now that you know you guys were all like kind of being like, oh, you guys are shopping for toys, what? Look at this. Look
Yeah,
at
these
this.
are pretty cool, actually.
These
I must
are
admit.
cool.
Everybody loves Lego, bro.
Didn't say
Lego
no.
is awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Porsche.
Porsche, Beetle.
We've got
Porch.
the Rory Byrne
Oh yeah, this is actually cool.
sign.
Yeah.
Rory Byrne poster behind us.
Very,
If someone's listening to this on Spotify, they might think we are off our rockers. We're just talking about random stuff, but
Yes.
we
So in
are
front
going
of
to talk
us,
about cars now.
We've got two
So, yeah.
big Lego cars. We've got a McLaren MP4
So
and we've got a Porsche 911.
McLaren, Porsche, Lego lets you kind of build your own thing, right?
Yeah.
So something that is quite prevalent in the Western Cape is the whole car modification scene, where people also try to build their own.
Oh, well, can we just clap that segue there from Lego to car modification in Cape Town? I mean,
that's
that's like a well done. You know.
well done.
Are you going to be like a talk, kind of like a talk host on like our
It's
morning?
almost like we're professional.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We've done this now.
You can almost say like some of us are master builders with our
There you go.
No, I'm sorry. I can't let a segue like that slip by without throwing in a thank you to our sponsor this week, which is, of course, Master Panelbeaters. Stephen and his team over at Master Panelbeaters have been supporters and sponsors of this channel since day one. We cannot thank them enough for that. But we can tell you how awesome it is to have car people working on your car, because I can promise you that no one in the industry will look after your car the way that car people do. They are the only people who will understand what your car means to you, and they will treat it like it's their own, it's just like having a little warm fuzzy blanket over you the whole time that your car is getting worked on. So if you've had a bump or a scrape or a major accident even, speak to Stephen and his team at Master Panelbeaters. They're approved by most insurance companies and also major manufacturers across the board. They really know their stuff. They do excellent work. Stephen and his team are genuinely just really nice guys to deal with, and you will not be disappointed. I promise you. Go check them out and thank me later. Let's get back to the episode.
Only one of us have a
Mine was
modified
smoother
car.
than that, I'm sorry. So anyway, modified cars are quite a big thing around here. Some obviously a lot more successful than others. So today we're going to chat a little bit about modifications that you can do to cars, things that sometimes get overdone, sometimes stuff that gets overlooked.
You said things that you can do, not things that you should do necessarily.
Yeah, and there are things that you should do that most people don't do. And then we're also going to sort of touch on some of the modifications that we have done on our cars in the past. Those that we were most proud of, those that we perhaps should have thought about a bit more. But we were all young and stupid once. Niku, you're still young.
Still stupid.
Some of us are just stupid.
So, I mean, Neil, you were mentioning something that you think is hugely underrated as a modification on cars.
Yes, purely also from maybe not like sort of daily driving, but in terms of track car, if you're planning to enjoy your car on track. Now, the first thing that everyone does is jump on power, engine modifications and so on. And of course, we know we only have Killarney. So the first thing you should be doing if you're going to Killarney is sort out your brakes. But I think a big thing for enabling you to get better feel in the car is actually a seat.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there because, I mean, the thing is, if you don't have a proper seat in there, and, I mean, I can attest to it in my Spada, I don't have the most supporting seat since it's an old car, but...
It's an old seat.
It's an old seat,
I mean, same in my car as well.
Yeah,
like, you just don't have the lateral gap, lateral support.
And the thing is, so now that you don't have a proper seat that keeps you in place, you kind of not only trying to wrestle the car, you're trying to wrestle yourself in the car.
Yeah, you're using the wheel to hold onto the car instead of just feeling.
Exactly, and that's naturally kind of pulling the car out of the corner, right?
You should be able to be leaning on your sort of almost on your rib.
Well, you shouldn't even be leaning. You should just be sitting still in one spot.
You should be held in place.
Yeah.
Now, the problem that I have with guys who put these racing bucket seats in their cars is that 9 times out of 10, and I genuinely, I understand it, I get it, there is a budgetary issue here, but rather keep the stock seat in your car than go and put some cheap Chinese knockoff 500 rand
Sparco fake
Spararco seat in your car, because it's very easy to forget that the seat is not just somewhere where you park your ass. It is genuinely a safety feature of the car. Because if your seat fails, that's the only thing that kind of attaches you to the car. Your seat belts mean nothing if the seat fails.
I do agree with that, but I would also say don't look away from like local brands like JS Performance, that John Stemmett, I think. Quite a big guy in the drifting community. Him and his wife Samantha, I think. We were actually watching
them the other weekend. Yeah,
she can pedal as well. She can really pedal. They make their own seats. That's basically like, it looks like a Recaro seat or whatever, but it is reinforced. It's obviously not FIA approved, but they do say it is specially reinforced. So it looks nice and whatever, and you pay like $6,000 or $7,000 or whatever for it, which is the same you will be paying for a Hong Kong Sparco seat or something.
Well, for a Hong Kong that looks like a real Sparco, you pay that, but you get these motorsport, whatever places you can buy for $1,000 or $2,000, you can buy a seat.
100%.
You know they are cheap.
I think like just, not so like, if you're going to go drive in the mountains, buy a seat. It's just like, if you're into track driving, I think comfort is a big thing. And comfort for me is, and for me, and I learned that in karting as well, if you're not feeling comfortable the way you're sitting, you're not going to be fast. Your head is not going to be in it. And I think there's like, even if there's not necessarily like a direct performance gain, what I've found, like if I've sat in a car and you've pushed it through a corner and you feel like, okay, well, I can actually, this is supporting me. I feel as though the car, I can feel better what's happening underneath me.
Yeah.
That's like...
And what I would like to add to that is a mod that I kind of feel like is quite underdone, and that is extended steering hub. Because once you start modifying a seat, or even most stock cars, it's usually a case. A lot of modern cars kind of does it better with the amount of adjustment you have, but like a lot of the cars, it feels like your legs should always be shorter than your upper body. So you kind of always, either your legs is just about touching the steering wheel, or
That's
you
an
know, your
alpha
legs
thing,
is...
though.
I know,
It's an
but
old alpha thing.
there's
And a Ferrari thing.
there's different cars that I've been in that's the same, where the steering wheel only goes up and down. So every time you kind of sit more back, you can't bring the steering wheel to you.
Yeah, you're sitting further and further away from it. You're extending your arms.
So that extended hub just helps you always have that proper position, because I think there's very little people that actually does the, sit with your back against the backrest, put your arm over it.
So what you should be doing is you should be putting your arm, and it should be going on top of the steering.
On that point,
Exactly.
I want to say one of the things that you can modify on your car that costs you absolutely nothing
It's moving your seat.
is moving your seat to a proper driving position. Because I see these morons driving around with the gangster lean and the arms stretched out to reach the wheel and the other arm sort of rowing the tarmac out the window. And I just think to myself, how the hell do you have any kind of control over that car? Because I like to have a little bit of a bend in the elbow, the reach over should sit there. It once you've driven like that with a proper driving position,
That's the correct way.
you'll never feel in control of a car again unless you're in that position. And it's such an easy thing to do. Most cars give you enough adjustment to get a half decent driving position these days.
And if you need to compromise, get your legs then closer.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So-
You
so-
shouldn't compromise.
So what do you prioritize? Do you prioritize view? Because I think some people, their natural inclination is, I want to be able to see, not the way I sit, right? So for me, I need to be comfortable to sit properly. Then it's seeing from that position. Like other people,
You need to be able to see, obviously. But for me, the priority is that you have, you have very little strength when your arm is stretched out like this. You need to have the steering wheel closer so that you could turn it quickly in an emergency with some force and vigor. You need to have proper reach to your pedals so that you can quickly move your foot from the accelerator to the brake without hitting anything or anything getting in your way, so that you can react to stuff. For me, controlling the car is more important than pretty much anything else. And once you've set up your seat so that you can control the car properly, you'll 9 times out of 10 find you can see out of it. Because the car was built with ergonomics in mind, and unless you're some kind of freak of nature with 8-foot legs and a 2-foot torso, you're going to be in a driving position where you can see out of it when you have set up the car properly for you to drive it. And like I said, it makes such a big difference to the way that your car feels when you can feel properly what it's doing. So without spending any money, modify your driving position and you'll have a much better experience.
The funny part about the driving position is I think sometimes, I don't know. I don't know if you guys might agree or not. I'm not really sure how the feeling would be about this. But something I do like doing whenever I can in a car is you were
Just
talking
remember
about
this is PG-13, okay?
yes.
In the front of the car.
in the driver's seat of the car, is to, like I said, adjust the seat. But what I do like to do is I try and get my nose about the same height as the top of the steering wheel. I don't know why. I saw an article of it for some reason, and some people might say, okay, but you can't see the edge of your bonnet. But the thing is, think about it. When you're on a track, where are you looking? Are you looking at the little piece of rock and pavement in front of you, or are you looking at your exit? So that kind of forces you to look in the horizon of where you are going instead of fixating on everything close to you. Because you always want to look at where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
Not where you are now. And I feel like that just helps that. But once again, I don't know if that's correct. It's just something that I like doing. I like sitting very low in a car, and I like that to be kind of my perspective when I'm looking out of a vehicle.
For me, it's like for me, the closest I've been to that is if I've sat in a car with like a seat modification to it. But for me, it's like I want to sit underneath the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Just like I want to feel like I'm sitting underneath it. But I've never been that low, and because frankly, with my height, it's always a challenge. Like if I want to sit that low, my knees, I'm gonna like literally knock my knees basically.
You're gonna have to make a dent in the floor.
Yeah, I would like to carry like a hacksaw around basically.
So another thing that's related to that's for free that you can do is just hold the steering wheel properly, right? At 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock.
So we started off talking about modifications, and now we're talking about people who drive like morons.
Yeah.
Wait.
It's not. Yeah, you shouldn't be holding it at the bottom of the steering wheel, at the top, or like some gangster side. No. This is where you hold your steering wheel.
But hang on, who has a modified car here? I don't have a modified car except for like exhaust. Do you have a modified car?
Not power, definitely.
Do you have a modified car?
I have a broken car.
You have a OEM Plus car, Neil. Are your brakes stock?
No, they're not.
How modified is your 4C, Andre?
There is limited
Clutch in fifth.
Because of power.
Yeah, that recalibrated. It's fine now.
It's okay. There is limited reliability upgrades that's been done.
Reliability upgrades. Okay.
So the software upgrades for more power is for reliability.
And the
Have you
bigger
ever upgraded
intercooler?
your laptop?
Yeah?
You upgrade the software on your laptop.
Yeah?
Why?
Because Microsoft forces me to.
You want it to keep working.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was
So it's
working
a
before.
reliability thing, essentially.
Okay, so since we're talking about the most overrated mods, Andre, what is for you the most overrated mod in a car?
Maybe something red that you just spent a fortune on that's made no difference.
That kind of popped off.
It's a reliability upgrade.
How reliable was it in the end when it popped off?
We fixed it again.
Luckily, it could be fixed in
I had with me a Niku.
Do not a mechanic.
I had with me a Niku.
So the most
a Supra expert that I put into my boot, and he fixed it for me.
The most underrated modification on your car, therefore, is a Niku.
But can we just say when it happened, when I got to, because I told him like Nico, before Nico jumped in, I got to Andre and I saw you that an outlap and came in. So I was like, okay, let me walk to the pits. So we're referring to
But
a
I was
previous
only
episode.
circulating the track.
But all I see is someone with the back open and on the phone. That was the extent of the diagnostics at that point. So then we said, he's jump in, rev it, and then we found the culprit like required. And then we did pocket-sized Nico in the pocket-sized boot, basically, to do the fixing of it.
With one flat screwdriver.
One flat screwdriver.
Listen here, the boot of the 4C is perfect for one person to just span around the tail of it. It's a perfect car.
Okay, but overrated, Andre. We're still waiting. Like, what is an overrated?
I wouldn't say it's overrated. Because there's other people with pipes popping off completely because it's the stock pipe.
It's a safe space. You can tell us if it's a mod that you paid money on.
So I paid
money for.
Sensible, significant amount of money for a set of Samco hoses for my various turbo intakes and
In Ferrari
and
red.
all sorts of stuff in red. So it's
Matches the seats of the car.
It's a cosmetic upgrade, first of all. Yeah.
You should have gone blue, man.
No. My calipers are red. Pipes are red. Yeah. So yeah, I would say it didn't add a lot of power or anything, but it's a mod for.
So
Are you running more boost?
Slightly.
Would the stock hoses not have been sufficient for that?
They would not have survived that, I'm told.
You're
told. For me, so talking about boost, for me, quite an overrated mod, and something everyone's always like, oh, you've got that in your car, bro, like, that's so cool.
Is this guy Australian by any chance?
No, that's a boot. That's a Joburg boot, you know, it's that's Scully Oak, you know, he's gonna understand this mod I'm about to whip out of my pocket here, you know, he's gonna like it. Hybrid turbo.
Yeah, hybrid turbos are...
I don't understand what the point is about a hybrid turbo. Like, just get a proper ball bearing. turbo. Like, what makes
I
a hybrid turbo a hybrid turbo?
I
Like,
actually thought it makes a lot of sense, to be
It's
honest.
supposed to have less lag, right?
But isn't it like you're taking the same housing and you're making the impeller size larger, right? That's what hybrid turbo is.
Supposed to spool up faster.
We should probably Google this.
We should probably like I
Bullbearing
think.
should probably it'll have a bit of a lag, but it's much more reliable.
But isn't that a case of cost? So you use the original turbo housing, and there's going to be probably some tuning guys that are like like flipping cyberbullying us for this.
So we're literally talking about something we don't know much about.
Yes,
but
turbos in this case.
no.
we're speculating really.
No, I understand we're speculating or whatever, but if I just check at the price, people paying for like a hybrid turbo, and I've recently, just for the fun of it, when we were kind of making our discussion about brand changes and stuff, I looked at like what a proper HKS turbo costs. HKS doesn't say their turbos are hybrid turbos. Garrett doesn't say it's
just
hybrid
a big ass
turbo, but it's proper turbos. Yeah. That's kind of my point. So why go hybrid when you can get a proper Garrett turbo or HKS turbo for
but the
the same
hybrid turbo is
price?
supposed to have more low down power. It's supposed to be more gradual. It's supposed to more gradually deliver the power.
It's because you're starting with
so it's more usable for a daily.
It's because you're starting with a crap turbo. Get a proper turbo from start that costs the same as a hybrid turbo is going to
But a
cost
proper
you.
turbo makes good power, but it first needs to spool up.
I don't know, dude. I don't agree.
I thought the whole
interesting
point of
enough,
that
on
is
the turbo topic.
budget. I thought it's a budget consideration.
I spoke to a few tuner guys recently in the past 2 weeks when I bought an engine for my one car, which we haven't decided whether it's going to be turbo or not, but we'll see. So we discussed some turbo things, and the one guy wanted to buy a turbo. The other guy was like, I want to buy like a T42 whatever turbo, precision turbo, whatever. And the guy's like, no. That turbo will work for you. They're building drag cars. That turbo will work for you only if you've got some vacuum or like a fast change kind of thing. If you've got a manual box, that turbo will not work for you. Because if the turbo is too big, it needs to have boost the whole time. The moment you go off boost, you're going to fall back.
You change gear and it goes
You
off
change
boost.
gear and it goes off boost and you're losing time. So you need to keep it on the boil the whole time. So the bigger the turbos are, straight up turbo. If it's bigger, it means that it needs a whole lot of boost.
But that really enough brings me to my overrated topic, which I would say any modification that doesn't really serve a purpose. But to make it simpler than that, I would say power mods. Because why? What is the purpose? I think a lot of power mods these days is for people to show off and tell people how much money.
Dyno.
Yeah, but why? I mean, everyone does power mods. I mean, what's the purpose of having a power mod? Like, if
I can kind of understand it in the sense of let's take my Spider as an example. If I could get like 20 kilowatts more out of it, I think it would be kind of the perfect car with the weight on the nose compared to a 3-liter V6.
Yeah, I hear you. But for instance, I mean, sorry, Andre, I'm not trying to like gang up on you here, but you did because I was actually thinking about it.
I'm a bit attacked, yeah.
No, but you made that modification on the 4C, and I wonder, like, it's actually really cool, and you showed us the sheet afterwards, but I was wondering, do you think it actually improved the driving experience, or do you think from a purist point of view, you actually made it more scary to drive?
Well, it depends on what the goal of this driving experience is. If
it is to scare people, then yes, it's a good money well
spent. If it is to make you feel alive and scare the shit out of you, then yes, it's better now.
Yeah. Because I think we all value, like, I mean, what we like from a modification, we in some way, although we like different stuff, we all like pure driving experiences, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of like, I think, like, for people to understand if you think like where the hell are these guys going, I think we go from the point of pure driving.
Yeah,
right.
My car is now pure terror.
Yeah.
Can I just say that one thing that instantly it's like a trigger that just makes me want to hit someone in the face, because you get these guys who
are deletes.
No. Guys who think that they're car guys. And then they go on about their car that's just had a stage 1. What the hell is a stage 1?
Yeah.
Like,
I've had guys ask me this weekend, is your car a stage 2 or a stage 1? I'm like, what is it even?
I think that's like just a software upgrade of stage 1.
Yeah, I actually wish...
Stage 1 could be a cone folder.
It could be a stage 2 software.
No,
upgrade.
that's a combination of products then. Induction, tuning, that for me would then be kind of like, what?
Induction is
noise
actually...
even.
Wait, but I would actually say a cone filter is kind of an overrated upgrade. Because, hold on.
Get out.
Hold on.
Blasphemy.
Most people that does a cone filter is pointing it where?
Into the hot engine bay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like, if you're going to be doing a cone filter, which is supposed to give you more cool air, better intake, you have to point it to the right direction. You don't say you want to go to this ice cream shop, but point yourself at a coffee shop.
What?
Right?
What?
We're going to take this away now. I see
My
That is
point
a very good analogy.
If you... No, but my point is...
Do you have a... What?
My point is, if you look at... If you're doing a cone filter, it's to get cold air into your
Get
turbo.
ice cream.
No, yes, it is actually. It's to get cold air into your engine, not hot air.
But what if I fucking want coffee? Like, and I don't want ice cream in this
Well, then
case.
go to the coffee shop.
So what's
But don't
nitrous
post
then?
it.
Is that like...
So it depends on the season, really.
That's
It's just
drugs.
So nitrous is. Have you seen those people making the ice cream on like the thing that they like scrape the spatula on?
Like the kakuli.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they call it.
That's like ninja, coffee, like ice cream ninjas.
It's freezing instantly. It's giving you cold air instantly. Yes. But my point is, if you put in a cone
Not just like
filter,
slush poppy, right?
no, you want proper cold. You know.
But can we... I think there's another car mod that we can all agree on. Bagged, stanced, broken pieces of
The
crap
same thing, really.
dragging their asses on the tarmac.
I actually saw something interesting the other day. Sorry, I'm kind of on tangents on
I'm
mods.
hoping that you're going to change that here.
So I'm gonna talk
So
about
what
pillows.
drinks are you going to refer us to now? Basically, like, you know.
No, we're going
No,
to
we're
the
gonna-
bedding. We're going to the bedding. We're going to pillows and mattresses.
So
Okay.
we were at the
So it's when you want to go for the pillow or the mattress and you end up on a beanbag.
we were at the ice cream and the coffee. Now we're going to the tuck, or what's this?
Wait, your copy is sticking, man. Stop it. So basically, I saw these guys called Night Ride. They've got quite a big YouTube channel.
We used to watch it in the early 80s.
Yeah, I was just
Before
about to say.
YouTube. Night Rider.
That's kind of what Supra looks like. But I saw them putting on BC coilovers. But they are from not Norway. They're close to Russia. They're quite crazy oaks. Anyways,
Czech Republic.
they love driving their cars as low as possible. You know, they would be like drifting or racing around track, but the car would be lower than it should actually be.
Which is just wrong.
Which is just wrong, obviously. But they were doing BC coilovers on a Mark II Chaser, Toyota Chaser.
What is the Chaser?
It's also a Jab Ford
Four-door.
or it
2JZ
came with the
typically.
2JZ and
Okay.
a lot of oaks that loves drifting.
Yeah, they use
uses
chasers.
them. Yeah, because I mean, you saw what a 2JZ costs, right? So you can buy a Chaser for half the price of a 2JZ, basically. But they're actually apparently quite good handling cars because they're quite long. So once again, especially for drifting, it's quite controllable. But anyways, they were putting on BC coilovers, but they had this top hat on the coilover. So the coilover that has its normal spring rate, everything. But it had a bag on that top hat to give it that little extra height, which I kind of thought was quite cool.
Less
So-
height though.
Extra height.
Extra height.
Yeah. So imagine like a Ferrari or something that has that nose lift.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same
one to make it
idea.
higher.
Yeah, it's kind of the same idea, but once it's lowered, it's just a normal coilover, but it looked like a bagged car when it's not.
Why would you want it to look like a bag?
I
it
can
looks
say
like a
one thing
broken
though.
suspension.
I don't get the scene around it,
I think
but
they
I
look
don't.
cool.
I wouldn't say like it's. I hate it.
The car's
But
not.
it's just one of it's
I
the
think
thing is
I
that-
hate it with a deep, deep passion.
I think it's the stupidest thing you can possibly do to
I-
a car, because
I'll-
you're making
one-up
the
you with
car
that.
unsafe.
Worse. You make it
I
worse.
will add something that's for me is stupid that, and that's for me is pops and bangs maps.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
yes.
all.
Yes.
That for me is like I hear you. But I think it's like it's a certain automotive culture that I don't get. It's the same kind of like to be honest about spinning and all these things. Like I get that a lot of people like it. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
No.
Minister Mackenzie, you know, we know that you like a bit of spinning. If you want to throw some money towards some other more pure forms of motorsport,
If you want to do some time attack events
motorsport,
around
you know?
Killarney, then you know what? We'll be keen to do something around that.
So guys, what mods have you done to your cars that you were particularly proud of?
The most proudest mod recently that I've done, and I mean, I wouldn't say it's my car, it's kind of our car, and it wasn't just me doing the mod, it was me and the awesome guys at the warehouse that we have the car at, was making our own wheel spaces.
That was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
That was super cool.
Hub-centric wheel space.
Hub-centric wheel spaces, because I kind of made the math, and I thought, you know what, at that stage, Steven spent like $3,000 on proper wheel spaces, right? But okay, granted, his was kind of like the wheel adapter wheel spaces, so I guess they might be a bit more expensive.
It's a bit more work.
Yeah, it's a bit more work to them. But I reached out to someone that was quite cheap to make normal hub-centric wheel spaces, and he quoted me $2,000, where most of the other places are like 2,500, 2,800. I phoned up a place that sells like aluminium and all those type of stuff, and I asked them how much would 4 times 23 millimeter pieces of aluminium cost. They said no, it will be around 800, between 700 and 800 bucks. And I thought, well, for the risk, why not
If you
try
have
and
to
make
throw it
it?
away, then
Yeah, make one yourself.
Now,
then it's
I
fine.
grant you that the cost was significantly less than buying them. However, you did require a 300 grand milling machine to be able to do it.
Yeah,
what
but
I'm saying is if you had
the
access
point
to
is,
that.
if you have access to that, why not? And
Is it?
I'm sure there's a lot of engineering shops that, because the difference with the milling machine that we were using is it was a manual milling machine. Where a lot of these engineering shops kind of works on, you've got stepper motors on the milling
CAD
machine.
drawing, put it in.
CAD
and
drawing, you
leave
put it in and you just leave it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which
That's
is
the
what
same.
people that make spaces do.
Yeah.
They put in a CAD and leave it. So if you draw the CAD, and you don't need to be brilliant to be able to draw CAD. Yes, to draw CAD perfectly, sure. But there's literally CAD drawings of 5x114 spaces,
You can
5x1.
You
You
just
can
download
download
it,
it. So if you take that downloaded file to a machining shop,
So please make this.
please make this.
Run this program. And
Exactly.
off it goes.
So
Yeah, yeah.
why not? You're going to save yourself quite a buck. And it was kind of it was really a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah,
of like,
and it is a bit of a sense of accomplishment because you had a hand in making it. Where
Yeah.
typically, it's like you drop it off somewhere and you can pick it up. you
yeah.
know?
And
Isn't
I
that
would
pretty much what you do?
I will have you know, I was intimately involved in sourcing all the space that went into it.
Fair play, fair play.
But the most common mod I think all of us has done is exhausts.
Oh yeah.
The first thing I do when I get a car is what exhaust can go on it? What would sound nice on it?
So that probably is a good segue into my proudest moment, which is when I did a backbox delete on my BMW Z4.
So you didn't really modify it, you just basically took the exhaust off.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And honestly, it didn't
Your
make
low
it
mileage
any faster.
Z4.
My low mileage Z4. I just lopped the back box straight out of it, and man, did it sound good.
Low mileage, high decibels.
It wasn't too loud.
Did you weld something else in place, like another?
Like, all I did was there's 2 pipes that come down from the engine. You cut them off, and you weld in a straight piece of pipe out the back, and you put some nice chrome tips on it, and
welded
that's
it
it.
yourself?
No, I took it to a exhaust shop. Okay. I'm
But
not a welder.
But I thought you did the mod.
I had it done. Okay.
Weren't you just giving Andre some issues about
dropping it off, basically?
I was giving him issues because he was going on about having a hand in it, okay? But at the end of the day, my car sounded awesome and I was happy with it.
The one thing I have to say with the exhaust mod is everyone kind of, any turbo car, everyone kind of does the downpipes, right?
Yes.
And yes. And what I love about a downpipe, it's crap to get the original cat out. But man, does a downpipe go in so easy compared to like a cat. Because have you seen how big a catalytic converter is these days in one car?
Mine is huge.
I've got a mate back in Bloem where we did it on his wife's BMW M235. We were twisting at this thing and doing this, doing that to just get the cat out.
It's easier to take the engine out.
Yeah. And then once it was out, like the downpipe just went boop. Sorted.
So, if I'm very honest, that's one of the mods on my car that I'm both glad about and also sometimes not so much. is removing the catalytic converter and putting a catless downpipe in my car. Having it put in my car. My mechanic had like a busted forehead because he struggled to get it out. So he bled for it. So it does... It's safer because your car cannot breathe properly. It doesn't have that cat that can get, clogged up and whatever. And it's got quite a bit more power because of that. But the noise.
Yeah, but your car is stupid loud now.
Yes, that is correct.
And I must admit, I was very tempted when I had my Honda S2000, the second one that I had. I was very, very tempted to put a nice exhaust on that car. And I didn't do it in the end because the S2000 is way too quiet as stock. But that car runs at 5.5 grand on the highway. It revs constantly. Yeah. And if you put an exhaust on that thing, it is going to drone like an ex-wife. I mean, it is just going to be awful. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't do that. I know some people who have put loud pipes on S2000s, and it is just a terrible idea.
So my car, when you're on the track or when you're somewhere, it's great. If you're out on a breakfast run, you want to make some noise, that's great. If you are firing it up in the morning on cold start, it's maybe not so great. For the estate where we live and for our neighbors and everyone else, it's maybe not so great. It wakes up the estate next door.
I feel like Neil's best mod was stripping like 300 kilograms of interior out of a Supra.
Yes, I almost got sick from it as well.
His mod was on a different car too.
Yeah. For me, I think like whoever, I didn't do the mod. I bought a car like that. So mine's got like longer tube headers on it and the cat's been removed, but they quite sensibly left the back box in. So it doesn't drone at all, which is quite nice.
It doesn't have that trumpety sound.
No, it doesn't have sort of like a VQ trumpet. I think it's actually from the longer tube headers that also changes the sound a little bit.
Because they probably equal length, right?
Yes, I'm speaking under correction. I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I'm not, I've been
that would make
underneath
sense, but yeah.
But for me, like, it's not so much necessarily a mod, but again, I bought my car in that semi-slick at Yokohama Advan ADV08. That's quite a common track tire. And I thought it was very cool when I bought it with these semi-slicks on.
You were like,
it was,
especially in the rain.
That was not pleasant, and it was loud.
Did you at some point?
I felt it once, like I was driving actually in the rain after I just bought the car, and I just luckily very slowly came out of a roundabout. And typically, first, like you just bought this thing, you want to test it out a little bit, and yes, it started wiggling quite quickly. But the main thing from that was like how loud it was. Like for me, it was like a useless mod. I mean, it was so hard. It was so hard. So then I went from that. I put, everyone at the time was recommending FK453 Falcons. But before Samola, I decided like, okay, cool. I'm going to do Samola hill climb. I'm going to go proper. And then I did Michelin Pilot Sport 4s. Not the 4S's or anything like that. Just I couldn't get the size of it, but 4s.
Proper tires.
And that was a game changer.
Yeah.
That was such a game changer. Like the grip you've got in the rain in general driving, just normal driving feel.
Tires are some of the most underrated changes you can make. To
Modern rubber, I think, these days is crazy.
Modern Michelin rubber.
Yeah, modern Michelin rubber.
Which just again underlines the fact that stance cars with their stupid stretch tires are a bad idea.
Yeah, no, there's a difference between the stance cars that you're thinking of and stance cars that I'm thinking of. Stance cars that I'm thinking of is something that's quite nice and lowered, and
there's a difference between a car that's nicely lowered and a car.
It's stuck in a bit of wheel. It's stuck in a bit of it.
You're talking about touring. I think the right term is like touring car fitment.
It's like how
the guys
touring car fitment is not.
Touring car fitment. That's how people like. I think that's how people stance guys who like stance but don't want to be associated with the stance crew calls it touring car fitment.
Okay. So then I'm Nico and I like touring car fitment.
Yes.
There you go.
Everybody likes a bit of touring car fitment.
And drifting.
And drifting.
Yeah.
Yes, I love a bit of drifting. I really do.
So now the uncomfortable section. Mods that you've done to your car that perhaps were not your finest hour.
Can I mention a motorbike here?
Are you
As
going
long
to
as it doesn't involve rebuilding a car.
No, it doesn't. I'm sticking to the exhaust mods. The VFR NC30, 1982.
VFR 400.
400. So 4 carburetors.
That's a long rebuilding. You need a proper downpour to rebuild all 4 there, right?
V4. So I was driving and I saw like a little bit of. So these old bikes had that packing in the exhaust box, right? Mm-hmm. And I saw that and I'm like, yeah, it looks like some of it's coming out. So I thought, you know what? It's stock. Let me just take it all out. Oh my soul, did that sound terrible. And it still doesn't have any packing in it currently. And it's like, I didn't think...
It's loud.
Yeah, but I
That's
didn't
not
think...
nice loud.
No, I didn't think a bike can drone.
Noise. Yeah.
It's noise that's bouncing around in a can. And it literally goes like, wow, wow, when you accelerating or just driving normally.
It's like if a motorbike could play a didgeridoo.
Yes, that's exactly how it sounds. I couldn't believe it. I thought
Australian motorbike.
Yeah, there's some harmonic sort of like you know. It's so I never thought about that. Now you mention it. I had a DRZ 400 Suzuki, and it had the stock exhaust, but it didn't have packing in it, but it was a silencer inside it, and someone took it out.
yes.
That's so noisy.
It was so loud.
It's one cylinder.
Yes, it was so loud.
But I bet you, if instead of having the box, because now it's kind of like an empty room that someone's screaming in. If it just had a pipe, I think it would sound much better.
Yeah.
It's
that open cavity now acts like a resonator.
Exactly. And that was so weird. So
and also, if you look at resonators in exhaust systems, they're usually, generally speaking, quite short because you don't want a big, long resonator. And that's exactly what you've created.
Yes. I've created a long resonator that bounced around and it sucked. It sucked. I hated it. Everyone hated me for it. I was just like, you know what, man, it's a loud pipe is a safe pipe. A loud bike is a safe bike, which I do agree. But when it sounded like that...
bike's really safe.
It's really safe. Really safe and really annoying at like a certain RPM.
And it's usually the exact RPM that you want to cruise at.
Yes, at 120 kilometers an hour.
I've never done really, I mean, to be honest, I've not done a lot of mods, but I mean, recently I did, for the sake of thinking I'm going to go do track days, I did buy a set of heat-treated, slotted discs for my Z. And after it was lying in my garage for 3 months, I had it put on, had like, you know, the whole system flushed with, you know, high temp brake fluid. And the most action that is seen is, you know, your normal stopping at the red light, basically. So I don't know, it's not much use at this stage. So I mean, that's not necessarily like
there's nothing wrong with it. It's just
there's nothing wrong with it, but
I haven't had any value out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not, and it made me think afterwards, like, am I really going to go do a track day in it again? I don't know. I really don't know. Like, and I feel like, why the hell did I spend the money on all of this and go into the schlep of taking the other ones off? Luckily, I mean, the positive for me is that the old disc is now on the Supra.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy for that.
So I'm glad that could be, because I mean, I did need to replace it eventually. Like I was at about, I needed to be re-skimmed or whatever. It just wasn't. It wasn't bad, but it started to annoy me.
So you needed new brakes and you got the proper ones, that's good.
I feel like you're gonna take that car on a track day soon. I feel like it. I feel like you have to. You really.
You know what the thing is? The thing is the 20 grand rubber of it on it at the moment is what like is like. I don't really want to.
I've got a solution for you.
Buy another car.
Well, that as well. You can do that as well. That might work. But with the Supra, we're gonna have 2 sets of wheels, and it uses the same PCD and wheels that the Z uses.
Is it?
Yes.
Can I borrow the set of rims?
Yeah, so you just borrow a set of rims with like
some
tires on.
We saw Dunlop is great tires.
Yeah.
Put a set of Dunlops on.
Buy those Dunlops we used on the
Put some semis on it, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
That was lacquer tires.
I've thought a lot about it when I wanted to track with tracked my Alpha. I've thought a lot about it to maybe just buy some cheapo set of wheels.
You get this 15-inch 156 rims for cheap, for like $1,000 a set of rims.
But yeah, exactly. So get a set of rims. Put some tires on that. If you destroy the tires, it's fine. That's kind of your like track wheels.
Yeah. Or get some old slicks.
But
just keep them on there for long enough and they'll become slicks.
Yeah. I wonder whose car is that on. I can't recall now.
Some really hard slicks.
Yeah, really hard slicks. Car that's not moved. It's called a canoe.
Semi-slicks.
Yeah.
What?
Did you buy those brand new?
Semi-slick, semi-hard, and a semi-canoe.
No, actually I didn't. I bought them from a friend of mine who's sadly no longer with us, Mike Beachyhead. He bought those wheels for his Harper, which he was building.
The one with the VQ engine.
Yeah, and then he bought a bunch of really expensive, really big brakes. I think they're AP racing brakes. And they didn't fit in those wheels. So he wanted rid of the wheels. I was looking for wheels for my Harper, and yeah.
And came with some
a bottle of whiskey later.
You had a deal.
I had some wheels.
Nice. They're good looking wheels though.
They're not my favorite, but they'll work. So yeah.
Once the car runs, they'll work.
Once the car runs.
Yeah.
So I must admit I've not done a lot of modifications to cars, but the one that I stand by it, but at the same time it's probably a little bit embarrassing, was the subwoofer on my S2000.
No.
You could just buy a 350Z, you get one stock in it.
Yeah, but then I have to drive a 350Z, so...
Jeez.
Jeez. Sure. Yeah, no Vaseline.
Sure. Yeah, right in the gut.
Well, my Alpha also has a subwoofer stock, so...
So, my RAV4 did not have a subwoofer stock.
And it still doesn't.
I did put a subwoofer in it, which we used... The week that we went on, that we did a rally, the night rally, right? That same week, I put a subwoofer in my RAV4. It's a PAL UK subwoofer, proper under seat, and it pumped. It was nice.
Yeah, it was actually very nice. I'm not gonna lie.
So on the way to the rally, we were listening to music and it was pumping. It was quick.
We were getting the hype
even
up
on
for
the
rally.
start line, we were listening. We were psyching ourselves up like I'm the tiger and all that. Walk the line. We were going
with the aircon on.
With the aircon on, right?
Yes.
Other people were like eating dust. We were just chilling in the RAV4 in luxury. We did the first stage, and then the second stage, we wanted to listen to some music, and the subwoofer didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
What happened in between that stage when I told you caution, bump, bump, bump?
You did launch it into space, didn't you?
I kind of ignored it and jumped. And the subwoofer also started to
You
stop
sent a mid-90s RAV4 into low Earth orbit, is essentially what you did.
And we landed it again after that, so that's important. And it's still going strong.
Look, the sub in my S2000, I am a sound engineer, I love sound, I like having nice, music quality in my car. It doesn't have to be too loud, but it needs to be quality sound. And unfortunately, the S2000 does not have anywhere to put a sub. Because if you put it in the boot, you're not going to hear it, because between you and the boot, there is a roof mechanism, a fuel tank, and a limited slip diff. So you're never going to hear the damn thing. All you're going to hear is your number plate rattling on the back.
Why would people do it in any case? Because for me, an underseat sub with the woofer would make more sense anyway.
But an underseat sub doesn't fit under a S2000 seat.
So where was it?
Pretty much on the floor.
It was in the footwell.
So I had a custom-built enclosure in the passenger footwell where the sub would basically tuck up under the dash and blast down at the passenger's
So how
feet.
big was it? Like a 10 or a 12 inch?
It's a flat mount 10-inch sub.
And did you have an aftermarket head unit and an amp in it?
Aftermarket head unit and a 4-channel amp. And I'd bridged 2 channels for the sub, and the other 2 channels went to a pair of Polk splits in the doors.
Jeez, no, you have a problem with people, that are doing stance, basically.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he's
well,
going,
that's not
he's going
stance, that's
full.
just sound.
That's just sound, bro.
It's like
And
500 kilograms
That's
of
like
sound.
but that's like
If you want to listen to your favorite podcast, you gotta.
Exactly. I gotta.
you guys are the same WhatsApp group, basically. These things. Okay, look, I did also modify my own. My Honda came standard with 6x9s. So
Yeah.
I went to Incredible Connection, and I bought a set of Pioneer 6x9s and 10 mids in the front. I can't remember. I think it was 10.
Hi-Fi Corp?
Hi-Fi Corporation. It was Hi-Fi
Corp, yeah.
Corporation. And
imports,
we
for the
actually
win.
did that during lunchtime at uni.
Yeah.
We swapped them out. We cut them off and we took one of our soldering irons. Basically, we swapped them out, and it was actually so sound is lekker. But I think that for me, there's this sort of thing when you've got like when you go through the effort of installing. Whenever I look at a car secondhand, and I look like there's a sub in the boot, I'm like, this guy's a degenerate.
It's so cool because I don't have to add the sub; it's already there.
Look, it has to be said.
There's this sort of a thing like where he definitely spun the shit out of the car. Like I feel like there's a certain sort of northern suburbs guy that owned that car, and
Like,
Hey,
if
I'm
it's
gonna have to replace
if
something
Listen
on
to
it.
this, man.
If it's some,
Sitting on northern suburbs, guys. Guys sitting in gardens and like, we
if it's some kind of,
That's not what I'm trying to say.
if it's like some Star Sound sub in a tissue box, granted, that would put me off it. But a nice sound install that's been done for sound quality and not just SPL, that I can get behind.
Yeah, I like that. So for me, it's weirdly enough, with the modifications like that, if it's an OEM positions, like I like the fact when people are upgrading the standard stuff, like in the standard positions, like the same. I mean, the Z comes out with like a Bose. It's got a Bose.
Yeah.
So I would not change anything for me if I have to upgrade it or change it. I say like put me something in that's newer that gives me better sound quality.
You can put in the
but
same.
it needs to be in the standard position for me.
Yeah.
Something I was quite buttered about my first car I bought, the Junior. Someone cut the back shelf. I mean, the back shelf is normal.
Yep.
Someone cut 6x9 holes in the back shelf.
That was quite a standard.
In the dashboard, like the inner
yeah.
gearbox tunnel.
They cut holes there.
They cut holes there.
For 4-inch
and then like a
split.
fucking awful hole in the dash, in the wood. So they would cut a hole in like the dash part.
They confuse
And
it with the City Golf basically because of the
I
partial.
was so upset about it, but I did the thing, and I also bought 6x9s, bought 4 inches, bought a proper head unit, and you know what? I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna admit I enjoyed it.
So did I.
But
sound
it
is weird. It's weird that sound is one of the first things. If you have if you're a car that's not fast, so I might as well annoy people not from being fast, but by
Sound
having it
and
really
exhaust.
loud.
Yeah,
really loud.
sound and the exhaust.
Sound is very important.
Yeah.
No, but I like listening to music in my car, especially now that I'm sitting in traffic for most of the time. Because you can just sit and you can chill out and listen to music. But if it's not on a nice sound system and the sound quality is
Or your
rubbish,
favorite podcast.
or your favorite podcast, it just annoys me.
Yeah, I must admit, currently sound doesn't make a huge issue for me unless it's a car that I'm doing long miles with. But like my Alpha, I don't remember the last time I put my radio on. I just can't remember. Just because I don't really care about it when I'm driving that car, because I'm driving it to hear the actual car itself, not the. But when I am doing like long drives or whatever, then sure, sound is quite important.
I think also like modern cars, like the sound systems in modern cars is really, really good.
Yeah, 100%.
Jeez, like I mean, if you look at the sort of setups you get these days,
The game has moved on. My wife's Hyundai has a proper sound system in it.
Yeah, I mean, my Volvo has a Harman Kardon.
Yeah,
it's got Harman Kardon.
Geez, the other day I was listening to a Meridian system
In what car?
in a Rolls Royce.
Oh.
Oh my word, did that sound good? Oh man, especially in that car because it's so deathly silent in there.
All the sound stays inside.
It's just it's beautiful.
Can I tell you one of the coolest sound mods that any vehicle has? It's on a Volvo, once again, like the XC90 and the S03, the more modern cars. You can actually, on the infotainment system, select do you want it like in concert hall mode, or do you want it like as a normal stage, or do you want it like as a studio vibe? And when you switch between it, it's crazy how it actually, you know, if you listen to a amphitheater sound,
It's quite
like
accurate though.
it's quite accurate. It's crazy, but
Yeah,
obviously
it's
it
a
has
DSP
like
thing.
it's got like 32 speakers in the car, Harman Kardon speakers.
mad.
But it's super cool to actually listen to that. It's quite nice.
But what is the one with the speakers that pop up? It's like from the front, like I think it's Volvo actually.
No,
It's not
isn't
like
that a Merc or Aston?
No, it's Bang & Olufsen.
Bang
Yeah,
with the ones
that's
that are.
Merc.
Bang & Olufsen.
That's Mercedes.
Merc
Yeah.
have them.
BMW.
Aston Martin have them. BMW's had them.
Is that a tweeter basically that comes out? Or
Yeah,
what's that?
it's kind of like their trademark thing. Bang & Olufsen like having tweeters or speakers that pop up. So, yeah, I don't know why, but it's kind of their thing.
So what does a tweeter actually do? Is that like your sort of low,
the
high-pitched
fine
noises?
line.
Super high frequencies, basically.
Because I feel like a lot of car manufacturers brought out that, right? You remember like some cars, like there's certain levels, so when you get to a certain level, you get like a decent, then it's like a Meridian system in it. But then you get blank spaces in where the tweeters are supposed to be. And I remember like a few times vividly climbing into cars, I'm like, oh, this is a tweeter. I was like, but if you look closely,
It's a hole.
it's just a hole there, or it's just covered up. It looks like a tweeter,
It's the
basically.
cheaper
Like,
model. It's the base model.
it's the base
base
master. Like,
model.
yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't upgrade it for that.
But anyway, enough about car sounds.
We've kind of gone from actual important, like doing a proper seat or whatever for a track day, to the S2000 and sound.
My S2000 had great sound. I
Cool.
still have that sound system, actually.
Cool story, bro.
It's in my garage.
Cool story. Did it at a proper seat?
Yeah, S2000 seats are brilliant.
Okay, nice.
I don't think I can fit an S2000 though.
But
I think
here's,
like it's a bit-
here's my thing about
Open roof, bro.
here's my thing about modifying of cars, right? At the end of the day, if you want to modify your car slightly or personalize it in some way or whatever, or put a sound system in it, put an exhaust on it, make it sound good and do that kind of thing, great. But there's a point where you start to mess with it. And if you think that the guy who developed the mod that you are now putting in your car has spent more money on R&D than the manufacturer did when they first built it, you are sadly mistaken. And, you know, these guys who are spending fortunes modifying their cars only to find that now it's really uncomfortable, I've got to do this, or now it's too fast and I can't brake anymore, so I need to upgrade the brakes. It becomes a money pit because you're now modifying the car beyond the capabilities of other components of the car. And I sort of just feel like if you're buying a car, buy something that drives the way you want it to drive from the start. There's enough choice out there. Don't go and buy a car and then put some stupid supercharger on it to make it go twice as fast as it's designed.
But that comes to my point again,
yes
where it's
and
like
no.
where it's like a power thing. I think, for instance, if you let's take the example of tires or brakes. Modern brakes is a lot the quality, and I mean versus 20 years ago, it's just going to be better. Like I think if you let's take for an example, if you take a stock car from 20 years ago, you put it on 20-year tires that from 20 years, and you put a modern tire on it, you're going to be significantly fast on it. We use faster here not because everyone tracks their cars, but because it's just a benchmark for is it better or not. I will, however, you know what? If we talk about mods, you know what irritates me the most is people who try and sell their cars with mods and act like the value is all of a sudden infinitely increased because I did the mods. Like no, you because you modded the car doesn't necessarily mean that your car's value is all of a sudden triple.
There is one modification. It depends. There's one modification that you can do to a car that increases its value.
Tires.
No.
What?
Quattroce?
If you have...
Write an elaborate Italian ad.
Okay. No, if you have a Ferrari with an F1 gearbox and you put in a manual conversion, that'll increase the value.
But a lot.
But that's about it. I mean, every other car modification that you can think of is going to reduce the value of the car.
No, I don't agree with that.
I know because you just spent like so like think about this.
I'm under no illusion that I won't get all my money back, but there are mods that specifically makes a car better, and that if you look at BMWs and you look at whatever, there's certain mods that are kind of like you always say OEM plus. There are certain mods that you would want to have with that car to make it a bit better or make it a bit like this, or maybe different shocks or whatever that just makes the car. It should have had that shocks from the start. It makes the car better. It costs a bit of money. If you want a nice one, you would want to do that.
If you're looking at a car that was rubbish to begin with and it needed something to be fixed, then yes.
Well, I mean,
for me, if you are going to sell me something, let's say this, let's say, I always say look, I'm looking for an E36. So if anyone's got a E36 328 that your Oma or Opa owns and you're willing to part ways with it for 50,000 Rand, hit me up.
Mr. Super Bargain Hunter, man.
If you have put a set of BC coilovers on it, I'm not going to automatically pay you 70 grand for it. If, however, you've invested and you've put a set of Öhlins coils on it and you've made modifications that has significantly improved it, then that's debatable because
what
the components.
What are you going to pay for it then, Neil?
51,000.
51,000. No, I think for instance, and there's a lot of the YouTube channels these days. I feel like that guys do then they do modifications. But what's the purpose of it? What are you trying to do with it? So, for instance, it's the same as changing. Perhaps you're doing something from a reliability point of view, but there's no point in doing something for the reliability if it doesn't address something in the first place. I find the funny thing, let's use an example for cooling. Your car needs to run at an optimum temperature. I'm not talking, I know it's not ironic because and I promise you, I'm not talking about the 4C. I promise you I'm not. But I think I've watched YouTube channels recently where guys make the mods and I'm like, hang on, in what environment are you going to drive for the car to run at the optimum temperature at that level? Because also I've also seen guys who's the car's not getting up to temperature now. All of a sudden, because you've made the whole system so efficient that it's not getting to a point where it's at optimal operating temperature. We see it in karting, right? There's a reason why you've got the flap on the kart, right? Is if the thing is open the whole time, it doesn't get to operating temperature.
That's a lot of people think. Cooler doesn't mean better.
Yeah.
It just needs to be not too hot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you've got an operating temperature. It's the same with oil. Because the oil is cold doesn't mean you can rev it off the fucking red line the whole time.
Yeah.
Beep that out, please. That was an accident. It's not going to offer you optimum protection.
There's a few things with a car's engine that causes a lot of damage. The one is revving it way higher than it's supposed to be. Actually, could damage the engine quite a bit, a lot more than power. You could up your power by 50%, right? And your engine would be okay. But if you up your revs by 1,000 or 2,000 RPM, it makes a much bigger difference to the wear on your engine. And the same with what you just said. It's the same idea.
I do have one thing. Oh no, that thing. The camera just stopped. So this is going to be dark for the rest of the YouTube video. Sorry.
We're going
to have someone speaking.
Yeah. You can actually start it again, but
You
that's
just
fine.
use AI.
It's fine. You can use
yeah.
it.
Use AI to.
But what I would
Just
like
make me look
to,
like Brad Pitt, basically.
what I would like to kind of invite you onto, Neil. Yeah, it's gone completely off. Don't worry about it. What I would like to invite you to is to go and actually look at the R&D that's been put into BC coilovers recently. Eh?
I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah, but they've actually started making proper coilovers.
No, I think they do. I mean,
it's really proper coilovers. Chelsea Denofo's done a lot, and I know he's a Formula D driver or whatever. But the amount of track days, and funny enough, with alphas, with juniors, he loves his old alphas.
Okay, that's cool.
Which I never knew until I saw like some of the R&D was doing. It's quite impressive to me compared to where they were. Like I feel like at the beginning they were literally just like focused on one thing, and it kind of did it alright-ish, but it was not a proper suspension mod. But now that I've looked at some of the R&D they've put in, it's
Yeah,
quite
no,
proper
look,
mods.
it's not. I mean, I can tell you, I recently looked at a 350Z, a HR model that someone did a lot of modification to up in Joburg, and I think they wanted close to 300,000 for it. It had all the mods on. If I had to buy a coupe Z,
That you would do.
that I would do. NK RFP ones. It had some work on the diff. BC coilovers, but they wanted close to 300,000 for it, and the car had 160,000 Ks on the clock. And I thought to myself, sure, I mean that car sold, but I wonder if it went for that price.
probably
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like where I thought, like, you know what, I get that someone, and you know what my answer to that is: if you want to sell the car, take the stuff off and sell it separately, because you will get more value from it, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah,
but maybe
100%.
I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it all wrong.
No, but I do
mean,
agree.
we're in like a silly point where these cars are silly money these days. All these cars are silly money second hand in any case.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
Cool. So, mod your car or don't, but make sure it's got a good sound system. I think that's our conclusion.
Do what makes you happy in the end.
what
Just don't
makes
make
you
us
happy.
pay for it when I want to buy it from you.
As
You're
long as,
3 to 8.
as long as you don't drop the thing, i.e. break the suspension, put on skinny tires on there that's not fitting on the rims.
Yeah.
That's a no-no. Pops and bangs, we've decided is a no-no.
Pops and Banks is ultimate.
It's always a no-no. That's-
And stages are something that belong on a rally.
yes. Night stages, the big one.
Night stages is fun, eh? That was
Night stages and amplifiers don't want to do with those.
no.
As it turns out. But yeah, if you've ever modified your car and regretted it, or modified your car and didn't regret it, leave us a comment down below, and
I'll tell you whether you should have regretted it or not.
we will tell you whether you should have regretted it or not. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's lots of cool stuff going on there.
Smash the subscribe button.
You could do that. Or you could just push it, but, whatever. And we will catch you guys in the next one. Until then,
Stay
classy, San Diego.
Stay relatable.
stay relatable.
Even if you're shit.
Here's a dilemma for the volgende.
Ja.
Inception.
Ja.
Engine Inception.
Engine Inception.
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 Well,